Right. Well,
Zach, do you want to kind of share a little bit about yourself and your Egoscue journey and all that, and then I can do the same?
yep. So I first learned about Egoscue in college. Actually, I went to school in Utah, where I grew up. Studied exercise science, did some personal training. At the time, one of my professors introduced me to this method. He had used Egoscue to really, I mean, it saved his life. Basically, he was in chronic back pain until he found this, and so he was a big fan, of course, and introduced it to me. And at the time, I thought, I mean, it just made sense, the whole theory of it. And but of course, being young and thinking I was invincible, I thought, well, this is something for old people, right? It's not for me. This is like something for me to teach my training clients. But fast forward another year or two, I was playing a lot of racquetball in college and in grad school, and had some shoulder issues creep up on me. My back too would occasionally give out, so starting to limit my ability to play the sport I loved. So I thought, well, I'll give this Egoscue stuff a shot. And sure enough, I saw my professor took my photos and showed me my posture, and then it became really obvious, why I was in pain, which was my body was out of alignment, my torso was twisted, my shoulders were rounded, among other things. So started doing the exercises, and right away felt the benefits. It kept me playing racquetball and got me out of pain, and has helped keep me feeling good for several years now. And so after that, I got a job in the Portland clinic, as I mentioned earlier, with Kelly and her husband Martin, working as a therapist there for a little while. And then about 5 years ago, I moved to Seattle to open up the clinic here. And so here I am. Kelly, you want to give a little history?
Sure. And we still miss Zach every day. But, he's up in Seattle, so he's close. We get to see him a lot. We're grateful for that. And that's why we partner too to do these workshops, just because we work together and we just had so much fun together. We like to collaborate. So yeah, I started Egoscue, I'm close to 20 years now. And I was also a personal trainer. And I had neck pain from a skiing accident where I did a jump and landed on my chin instead of my feet and kind of crunched my neck back. And from that point forward, I just remember having neck pain. And anytime I would work out, it would get more painful. And I was scared of having chiropractic adjustments. I was afraid to have someone manually manipulate my body. So during my personal training days, I had my husband now, Martin, take my posture photos, and oh my gosh, my shoulders were so rounded forward and it was pushing my head forward. And I could see immediately how and why I had neck pain because of my posture position. So then I started doing exercises and got myself out of neck pain. And after, 5 to 7 years, all from 18 to about 24, 5, I had neck pain that I didn't know what to do about. And then from there, I just wanted to help anyone and everyone learn the skills and the tools that I had been given and taught. And so to this day, I just really love spreading the knowledge of the method and sharing the tools with people to help them, transform and change their lives just like I did. And thousands of my clients have over the last almost 20 years. So I'm grateful to be here with all of you today.
Yeah.
So thank you.
All right. So today's topic, shoulders. Although if you don't have a shoulder issue, it's okay. This is going to be helpful for just about any musculoskeletal issue you have. But I'm assuming most people here have some kind of shoulder issue. That's what got you interested in this. Can we go ahead and either put it in the chat or unmute yourself? And maybe if you're comfortable sharing, of course, if I've listed some diagnoses or symptoms up here. Anybody see something on there that they are experiencing or have had in the past, maybe, or something that's not on here? Anybody dealing with some kind of issue that isn't listed? speak up?
Yeah, I'm dealing with, I think, sciatica. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and my back and my leg.
Yeah, and I'm also having something very strange happening. I don't exactly know what, but I had thrown my back off a while back, and then the pain started shooting down the front of my legs. I went through physical therapy, and I still have pain, significantly less, but I still do have pain in my leg. And I also have ankylosing spondylitis. So I do have the forward neck, so to speak, right? But I have been an Egoscue client for a while, and I continue to do exercises. But I want to kind of formalize a menu program and figure out, okay, what exercise I should do and how, and so.
Yeah, get a more tailored, personalized program for
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and that's important when you've been trying to piece things together over time and you just haven't quite felt like you found the right fit in the exercises and the issues that you're dealing with. So I'm excited to talk to you at the end.
Yeah.
Hemant.
I may not be able to stay till the end. I have another call at 6 o'clock.
Oh, that's okay.
But I'll definitely hit you up on Facebook or something. So
yes, absolutely. Email me directly is best. Yep. And I can even send you my phone number as well.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
This is Jim Corso. Mine happened about 7 years ago. I was doing a 35-degree incline dumbbell presses, and I had picked up, kind of showing off a little bit too much, picked up some heavier weights in front of these young boys. And on the fifth rep, something snapped in my left shoulder. And it's been that way now for 7 years. The pain is bearable, but it comes and goes. And quite frankly, I never had it looked at. And Martin is giving me some scapular exercises. I think that's what's supposed to help. But I see him next week, and it's still painful. So I'll keep working at it.
Yeah.
Good.
Changing posture takes time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thanks everybody for sharing. We've got a few people in the chat talking about impingement and frozen shoulder.
Frozen shoulder is a common one, especially for women pre-menopause, menopause, and typically can be, if you've had one frozen, another frozen will come a year or two later.
Yeah, so, but kind of the purpose of all this is, well, one, just getting to know you guys, what we're dealing with here, but Egoscue, what we care about your symptoms, we care about you, and obviously, but what we're more concerned about is not just the what, these are what, these are, okay, you have arthritis, you have a frozen shoulder, great. We're concerned about the why, right? We want to, ultimately, if you want to fix these issues, you got to not just treat the symptoms and try to get the pain away, but you have to fix why they happened in the first place. Or Jim, like in your situation, if you've had an injury, something actually maybe did get tweaked or irritated or damaged, our bodies can heal and they should heal. But if it's not, especially after multiple years, then it tells us, okay, what's keeping your body from doing what it's supposed to now? Should have healed by this point. So that's where we come in. Pain is really just a signal or a way of your body communicating with you. Just like the check engine light on your car tells you that something is wrong, and doesn't necessarily mean anything is broken. Your car may still be running otherwise fine, but it's just that kind of early warning sign that, hey, you need to look at this. So we have two choices. We can ignore it or cover it up, turn the light off, or obviously fix the problem, get it diagnosed, and then really fix why the light turned on in the first place. And it's kind of the same with our pain. We have to figure out, okay, why is the pain there, and what do we need to do to fix it? So cause of pain, there's lots of things people will blame their pain on. These are just kind of the most common ones: your age, just getting older, arthritis, it just comes with my age or whatever. Well, I always ask people, especially if it's one side of their body more than the other, which it usually is, whether it's the shoulder or another joint, you have to wonder, well, if it's age, why isn't my other shoulder or my other side of my body equally worn out or have equally as much pain, So there's something else going on usually. Genetics, our jobs, our jobs do, obviously, if you have a repetitive motion, that can put more stress on your body, but as long as you're bringing a balanced posture to your job and we're doing something proactive to keep your body in alignment, our bodies are pretty resilient and can put up with a lot. Especially nowadays, most people working at a computer and not moving very much. Most of the time it's an issue of not moving enough, more than anything. So, our approach at Egoscue is we believe that our pain is most of the time a result of your body being out of alignment in its simplest sense. Just like this house is out of alignment and obviously not very stable and could fall apart at any minute, because those load-bearing, the walls and the foundation maybe even is not balanced. It's not level. It's not sturdy and stable anymore. So our bodies are no different. When we have poor posture or the alignment of our body, which doesn't just involve our neck and upper back and shoulders. That's what most people think of posture, but it really involves the entire body, your feet, your ankles, your knees, your hips, especially your spine, your shoulders, and your neck on top are all connected. And so when any of those parts are not doing what they're supposed to, then it puts extra stress on it could be anywhere in the body, really, since it's all connected. So it's all about balance, and it's not just about how you stand, but it's really about how you move, how you function. When all those joints are in the right place, it means that the muscles are all doing their jobs to protect you, and be able to function at your best. So really, we're designed to move. That's what our bodies are really designed or evolved to do, and there's no reason we shouldn't continue moving our entire lives. Most of us, unfortunately, stop moving as much as we get older. We move less and less, or we become more and more specific in our movement, meaning think about when you were a kid. Go ahead and
Okay, you can turn it off.
make sure you're muted, please. Thank you.
Hi, Terry.
And so when you're little, you move pretty much all the time. You play, you're climbing, you're crawling, you're jumping, you're doing all kinds of things. And then we start to sit on our butts at school and then at work and in our cars and in front of the TV. So it's really become this problem of, I was going to say pandemic, not of the lack of movement in our society. And so hence we have to supplement with exercises, but ideally we should just be moving naturally all the time. And but modern life doesn't really support that so much, so we have to intervene with something like Egoscue. So rather than eliminating the pain, just like the check engine light, rather than just turning it off, that'd be the equivalent of just taking pain pills, or some surgeries can help alleviate pain, but don't necessarily correct the reason the pain is there. We can go on vacation or like Jim, hang out in Hawaii, which sounds nice. But, we also have to be able to work and to play and do things. We can't just sit at the beach all the time. Or, like the guy on the bottom right here, I was like me in college when I was having the shoulder pain playing racquetball. I could have just given up racquetball and then my shoulder probably would have felt better if I wasn't using it. But then I would be giving up something I really enjoyed. So rather than limiting yourself, we want to, remove those limitations, fix the problem so that you can do the things you want to do. That's really what we all want, right? All right, well, let's talk about what posture means. Kelly, if you want to take over there.
Yeah, I think that was such a good segue too to what you said about how, you don't want to have to take things away and limit yourself even more and more and more. Really, Egoscue is about educating yourself about posture and about how the body is designed to work for you, not against you. So when you come in, and what we're going to start doing today is start to look at our body from a different perspective. Start looking at our body as a unit, as a movement machine, because that's what it is. It's a lever and pulley system with muscles, ligaments, and tendons and bones. And when you move, the bones and muscles go like this. And so we have 8 load-bearing joints. We've got 2 shoulders, 2 hips, 2 knees, and 2 ankles. And, the body is designed as a mirror image for a reason. And, you have a balanced pattern in your body, a rhythm that is natural and normal to the human body. And when that is altered by an accident, an injury, a surgery, anything like that, a condition, congenital condition, whatever it is, you've altered basically the original design and your body starts to compensate. It's no different than if I threw a brick at Zach's right foot and he immediately transfers the weight and limps. And that's not a conscious decision. It's just something subconsciously that your body does. It's called compensation. So when you have an accident, an injury, a surgery, or anything, your body is trying to function and do the things that it does on a daily basis, but it's going to recruit different muscles to do the jobs of the muscles that are being compromised due to the accident, the injury, or the surgery. So when we look at the body, we use this as a blueprint. I've never met anyone who looks like this. So don't think that you need to be perfect in order to feel better, because most of my clients don't look like this and they're completely pain-free and completely functional. So, this is just a way for us to get a clue into our own bodies of like, well, what has shifted over time? How has my body shifted based on my environment and the things that I've done in my lifetime, and how does it differ from the original design? Are my shoulders level? Are my hips level? Do my kneecaps, the fronts of my knees, do they point straight ahead? When I look down at my feet, do my feet turn out? Do they turn in? Does one turn out and one turn straight? So all these are really good postural cues into what is out of balance and what needs to be balanced in order for you to feel better and to get more function and balance into the body. And the S curve is such an important part of the body. We want to have a nice S curve. You have the same degree of curve in the lumbar spine as you do the cervical spine. It's just the size of the bones is different. And when you're talking about joints and joint spaces, we're talking millimeters and centimeters of space in there, not inches. So it's always really significant to me when I work with clients and I see posture changes on the computer of before and after photos from their appointments, and we're seeing inches of change on the screen in their posture curve and their shoulder position and their head and neck position. And those inches of change add up to a lot of centimeters and millimeters in those joint spaces that create more space, more range of motion, more freedom, less limitation. So the more aligned and more balanced you are, right versus left, front versus back, S-curve position, the more balanced you're going to be overall in general and you're more functional. And then today we're really talking about the shoulder. And, the shoulder, a lot of people think, okay, well, I've got a rotator cuff problem, or I have a tear, or, I hear rotator cuff all the time, but I don't really think people really understand what that means. It's not some sort of cuff in there that, holds your shoulder together and you tore that cuff. No, it's a group of muscles in the shoulder girdle that holds these three bones together and allows you to have range of motion of the shoulder. And the shoulder has a really amazing ability that a lot of the other joints in the body doesn't have. It's a hinge function. It has a ball and socket. It has a lot of range of motion that a lot of the other joints in your body do not have. And again, there's really not a lot of space in there. So if you think about those three bones, and then we look at these muscles, the muscles that attach, the sternum and the spine and the clavicle and the humerus and the scapula all together, there's a lot of forces going on there, holding all those bones up in space above your pelvic girdle, above your knees, above your ankles, with a spine in between, and you've got two shoulder blades on either side. So, if your shoulders are out of alignment in any way, even the slightest bit, chronically out of pain, then those ligaments and tendons and muscles are chronically going to be in a position where it's creating very little clearance and very little space in that already small space as it is joint in the shoulder. So you can see where those muscles in those positions, out of alignment positions over time, can cause chronic issues like frozen shoulders. Those are when all the muscles tighten down and hold it into that position chronically over time. And they just haven't ever been taught to release, and lots of other things. The impingement, same thing. Those muscles tighten in and then crowd in the space, and then there's really no more room to give you. There's no more extra room to move. So it's called an impingement because it's literally impinged for space and movement of those muscles and those bones. So
yeah, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, please.
I like kind of this picture. All the muscles are stripped away, just showing the bones, of course, and you can see the scapula, which is your shoulder blade, kind of rests on the back side of your rib cage. And so this is why we'll talk in a minute about how the hips and the shoulders are connected. But let's say you've got a hip issue, a pelvis, that's higher on one side than the other. Maybe you've been told you have one leg that's longer than another, that's common. So that'll cause pelvis to shift out of position, which will cause your spine to kind of alter curve. And then if your upper back is really rounded,
Mute yourself, please.
Election irregularities in their states and recommended calling a special legislative session to evaluate those irregularities.
Mute yourself, please. I'm not sure who is not.
A new slate of electors.
See.
There you go. Thank you.
Thanks. So your upper back position will affect your shoulders, because if that rib cage, let's say you twist or you tilt to one side, that's going to change how the scapula, the shoulder blade, is able to glide up and down the rib cage. So especially, this is why you see people, if your upper back is really rounded and your head is forward, you're not able to lift your arms over your head because the shoulder blade will just get stuck and won't be able to slide nicely up and down the back. So it's all connected, we're zooming in on the shoulder, but the whole thing is all connected. So just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and so these are some common postural imbalances that we see in our clients, and you may be seeing in yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror, or maybe even a family member or coworker or something has said, "Oh wow, your shoulder's higher, or you're rounded forward, or you're aware that you have quote unquote bad posture." So on the left there, the elevated shoulder, one shoulder blade is higher than the other, one whole side of the shoulder girdle is higher than the other. And then on the right, we've got the rounded shoulders forward. with the hands in front of the thighs. And you can see from the front view, you can see like all of the fingers in the front view. In the front view, you should only see the thumb and the side of the pointer finger. If you're seeing all 5 fingers in the front view of your posture, then that means those shoulders are rounding forward and pulling that arm into a rotated position. And then this is really common as well. If your shoulders are rolling forward, your head really is, forced to push forward of the gravity line, and it doesn't have anywhere else to go. So even if you don't have neck pain, but you have shoulder pain and your head is forward of the gravity line, neck pain could be something you're going to experience in the future if, the shoulder position doesn't get corrected to pull the head back. The head position is dependent on the shoulder position, the spine position, and the pelvic girdle position, and the knee position, and the ankle position. But the neck position doesn't really have a fighting chance unless the shoulders are in a good position. And you can see the lady on the right, her head is in front of the gravity line, the white line, her shoulders are rounded forward, her pelvis is pushed in front of the white line, so are her knees. So, she has a lot of postural deviations that if we only focused on her shoulder pain, would we really correct the actual root cause of the problem? Would her shoulder pain go away? Probably not, because we haven't treated the unit, the whole system, holistically from head to toe. So if we just did shoulder exercises, but we didn't change the hip position underneath the shoulder position, her shoulders really don't have a foundation to sit on if that isn't corrected as well. So this woman's picture on the right hand side is like a really, really good snapshot of, what it's like to treat a body holistically from head to toe, and why it's important to not just focus on the shoulders and the shoulder pain and just doing shoulder exercises, but to treat the whole unit. So now it's your turn to kind of put on your posture goggles. I'm sure you've already looked at your body, in the mirror or in the shower and noticed some deviations in your posture prior to this workshop. Otherwise, I'm sure you probably wouldn't be here. But let's start to look at this gentleman here who is a client. And let's start to kind of popcorn around the room and see, what do you see? What do you see that's out of alignment? And can you guess where he might have pain? And you can raise your hand or unmute yourself or just use the chat.
So he must be having pain in his neck, I would think.
Yeah.
Neck is pretty far forward, right? So definitely there.
And the angle of that neck, you can see how it's really kind of crunched back there.
And I think he's leaning a little bit to the, the left, I guess,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good posture goggles, Hemant.
The shoulders are also like one is over the other. So left is higher than the right, seems like.
Yeah. And we see that's really common, especially if people, when they're sitting during the day, they lean to one side or the other onto their arm of their chair, or even in the car, if they're driving and they lean to one side, that can create a posture imbalance, a habit that shifts the bone position over time. So, yeah.
In the chat, right shoulder down, as we just mentioned. Denise says shoulders rolled forward, noted by the finger position. So yeah, looking at the front, as Kelly mentioned earlier, you can count a couple of knuckles, not all of them, but there's a few, and maybe a little more on the left than the right. But remember, those arms should rest at your side when your shoulders are where they should be. Hands should, palms facing in, so you only see the thumb and first finger, not the back of the hand. So good. What else? How's his lower body?
So his back is swinging forward.
Yeah, so he's got kind of the pelvis forward as well. It kind of brings everything above it forward too, right? His head, his shoulders. Looks like he's standing on his front half of his feet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. John Wright said that his pelvis is rotated forward, meaning it's tipped forward has a, you know, an anterior, what we call anterior tilt position. And when your pelvis is tipped forward, it can put a lot of strain on your low back and the vertebrae. So
right hip elevated, so that's good. You see the hips are a little harder to see, but you can kind of look at the waistline or even like his waist here. You can see the crease in his skin up a little higher on that side compared to this side. So that right hip has come up, right shoulder goes down, or the left goes up, if you will. So that's a common compensation, and the pelvis will tip one way, the shoulders will tip the other way. So just that chain reaction effect, you know, compensating. So yeah, good. I think those are the important things. Let's compare to him a few weeks later. What looked different? What changed? Besides his shirt.
yeah, you got close.
Wow, 2 weeks.
A few weeks. I don't remember the exact timeline. It was you know, within our 8-session typical program for sure. So less than 2 months probably. So he looks a lot better.
You get me to there. I'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Most people will be. Yep.
So he's
I've
standing.
been doing Egoscue like for 4 years, but yeah, you get me there. I'll be awesome.
You can get yourself there.
Yes.
Yeah, so shoulders more aligned, vertical from the side view, but also the front view, right? He's not centered now. Before he was leaning to the left, and probably due to the pelvis elevation. His shirt kind of covers it up now, but you can assume that pelvis is more level just because he's more centered, and his shoulders look more level too. So yeah, I mean, just about everything got better, didn't it? And that's really the key, is he did the work. You know, it's not, this is a result of him being consistent with his exercises every day. And, you know, putting in that work. And it doesn't take a lot of work. I mean, it's all relative, I guess, but most people spend, you know, half hour probably on average each day, sometimes more, sometimes less, but that's what can happen. So these are just a few other examples just to show some changes that can happen. And on the top there, we see this guy, obviously before in a lot of pain. He had back pain specifically, but looking at the whole body, I mean, just look at his shoulders too. When he's kind of in that flexed forward position, what does that do to his shoulders? Now they're like way forward of the gravity line, especially his right side. So that left untreated is gonna just be, you know, really problematic for his shoulders too. But on the bottom, obviously standing much straighter, more vertical, not bent over as much. Shoulders are back. Shoulders actually came back quite a lot. Another way to judge the shoulders, if you look at the side views, is look at how much of your back you can see behind your arm. Like, see how all this back is exposed behind his arm versus here, very little, because the shoulders are further back. The arm is now kind of covering up his side.
The change in his S curve in his spine is remarkable.
Yeah. So that's, he didn't have it. He was more like a C shape here, right? So, well, C in this direction and this direction.
Yeah.
Right.
He complaining about when he came in.
Mostly back
pain. Yep.
Yeah. He may have had some other minor complaints, but the back kind of takes was his focus. You know, that's usually how it is. Someone comes in for like a specific pain, and then you start talking to them. It's like, oh yeah, well, I've had rotator cuff pain for 10 years and I just kind of ignore it, you know. So usually these people have multiple symptoms, you know.
Most people do nowadays have multiple symptoms because the body's connected.
Yeah. So this is another, I like just showing how, you know, your age doesn't really matter. We help young people, we help less young people. And, you know, it's never too late to make changes. You know, you can see how much straighter her spine is, her ears on the line now, shoulders further back, just looks better, healthier, younger. obviously feeling better too as a result. So, okay, so now for the fun part, we're gonna do a little class involvement here. So if everybody could stand up and take your shoes off if you're wearing them. I'm gonna stop sharing that.
Yeah, that way we get everybody on gallery view. You can switch yours to gallery view too, or you can use it just for your own posture so you can see your own mirror of your own self. It'll give you a good mirror image of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, so shoes off, socks are okay, but no shoes preferably. Just march in place a little bit, kind of shake out your arms and legs. Don't look down at your feet. Just stand still wherever you feel is natural for you. And even better if you can close your eyes, just to focus a little bit easier. I want you to just notice what you're feeling on the bottoms of your feet for a moment. So specifically, where do you feel the weight or the pressure on your feet? And it may move around a little bit, but just as you just hold still and relax, where does it tend to settle? Is it the same on the right and the left foot, or maybe it's a little heavier on one side? Is it more on the front of the foot, like on the ball, the toes, or is it back on your heels? And it could also be more on the inside edge or the outside edge. So no right or wrong answers here. Let's just shout out or type in the chat what you're feeling right now and your feet.
So I feel I'm more towards the outer edge of my feet, though it is centered, but still on the outer edge.
Outer edge, okay.
And I'm leaning forward for sure. So
Forward and outer edge, okay.
I've had foot pain actually almost all my life on the balls of my feet. Unfortunately, in my left foot, there is full of a bunch of steel now. They had to rebuild it and put some screws and some plates in it. So when I stand, the left foot hurts the worst.
Okay. Weight on right interior heel and outer edge. So everybody, is feeling something a little bit different, which is fine, right? We all have different bodies, but the reason we ask this is just a kind of quick, broad overview assessment of how balanced your body is. So the perfect posture we showed earlier, that guy, you would expect to feel 50-50 right to left, right? Same amount of weight on both feet, also 50-50 front to back. So the ball of your foot and the heel should carry most of the weight. It should be evenly spread from the inside edge to the outside edge. So anything that's different than that just tells you, okay, for some reason my body is putting weight there because something's out of balance. It could be anywhere in your body from your foot all the way up to your neck. But just make a mental note of it. Don't try to force it to change, or just kind of observe and take note. Kelly's going to take us through a few simple exercises, and then we'll check again at the end and see, how it changes.
Yeah. So now that we've done our posture evaluation, and that's just something that's really good to do anytime you're feeling pain, is to check in with your body. I say, turn on, tune in, and tap in to your body and say, okay, well, where is my weight distribution? Start to think about, are my shoulders forward? Is one higher? Is my pelvis higher? Think about those postural things, and then start working from that point forward. One thing that we do with shoulder pain clients that come into the clinic is a really quick and easy, what we call kind of muscular functional test. So if you can stand in your space, if you have a wall, go to the wall if you can, and stand pigeon-toed. So put the bottoms of your big toes together and your heels out. Now, I don't mean way out here. I mean just like a 45-degree angle. Make sure your heels are directly under the center of your pelvic bones. And tighten your thighs and stand up, okay? And if you can use the wall, then use the wall and pigeon toe your feet and stand up with your body on the wall. You want your heels touching, your bum touching your shoulders and the back of your head if you can. If you can't, that's an indication that your shoulders are rounded forward and it's pushing your head forward of that white gravity line. Now, when you are standing pigeon-toed, if you have limitations in your range of motion, of your shoulder, when you're not standing pigeon-toed just because you have pain, I want you to check your range of motion and limitation when you're standing pigeon-toed and see if it's any different when you're standing pigeon-toed versus when you're standing with your feet straight. So if like you can't do this, or you can't do this, or you can't do this normally, but then when you go pigeon-toed, you have more range of motion or less pain, etc., then that is a sign, that is a testimony to that your shoulder pain is related to your pelvic position being out of balance, or some of the other load-bearing joints being out of balance underneath the shoulder girdle. What happens when you pigeon-toe your feet is that it balances the pelvic girdle, it puts an arch into the low back, it corrects the S-curve of the spine, and it pulls those shoulders back over the pelvis where they belong. And due to that position change, you can get more range of motion or less pain in motion. So that's a really good, fun, easy functional test to kind of say to yourself, oh, wow, like I get more range of motion. I have less pain when I'm pigeon-toed. So therefore, my pain is not chronic and permanent. There's something wrong with me, all those things. It means, oh, it's postural, it's positional. When I change my posture and I do some exercises that will permanently change my posture for the good, then my shoulder pain will disappear and go away. Now, if you did pigeon-toed and you didn't have any more range of motion and you still had the same amount of pain, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you or it's chronic and, it can't be fixed. It just means that you probably have a pretty strong inflammatory response going on that needs to settle down, and we need to look at other ways to impact the posture. And if you're upright, that's the most demanding position for the shoulder to work in. So using the wall is not maybe the best template when you're doing exercises. The floor can actually be a better template or mold for your body, for the shoulder to learn to relax and go into alignment. So that's all that means. Okay, so then we're going to do a couple other exercises. So just standing at the wall. This is a great exercise to promote standing upright, balanced posture. And I'm going to teach you guys what hip width means, okay? When you're doing exercises of any kind and your feet are on the ground, you want to be 6 inches apart, a tight double fist between the feet from front to back, or 6 inches, okay? That's a hip width position. When you're sitting in a chair, you want your feet that distance apart, okay? And when you're standing up against the wall here, you want those feet that 6 inches apart. And standing at the wall, just standing there and getting heels touching, buns touching, shoulders touching, head touching, and just standing there, relaxing the arms, doing really good diaphragmatic breathing where you're inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, and letting that belly, come out and in with each breath. That's a great way to help reset the posture, get you up out of that chair. And you want to hold it for about 1 to 2 minutes. And don't try to strain your head back to the wall. If your shoulders are forward and your head's forward slightly, that's okay. Just focus on the heels and the buttocks touching, and of course the back shoulder area, okay?
So who's, if you're hopefully doing this with us so you can get a feel for it, but I see a few of you standing at the wall. Who feels like that's kind of challenging just to even get your head and shoulders and hips and everything against the wall and hold it there? Does anybody feel like?
Yeah, come on, yeah.
Easier, it looks easier than it is, right?
Yeah, and if you don't have a wall, use the back of a door. The back of a door is usually clear and free. So it's a good place to kind of do some of your standing exercises at home. Okay, now while we're in that standing position, I want you to stay in that position, and we're going to do 2 more exercises. We're going to do gluteal contractions. So with those feet nice and straight and your body in as straight as position as you can against the wall, arms relaxed at your side, keep that good breathing pattern going. I want you to squeeze and release your butt muscles, okay? Squeeze and release, And you'll find that your knees kind of turn out to the side a little bit, but try to get both sides working equally. Okay, right and left butt cheek squeezing and pinching to the center equally. With your back to the wall. Yep. You'll notice it kind of tucks your pelvis under a little bit. So if you have that rounding forward of the pelvis, it's going to tuck that under and neutralize it a little bit. If you tend to kind of have knees that cave in and feet that ankles that cave in, when you squeeze your glutes, it's going to lift those arches and rotate those knees straighter to more out. Okay, so let's do a few more of those.
Anybody feel like one side works maybe a little better than the other? You know, maybe a little firmer on one side, or
I find it difficult. It pains me here on my hip
There.
on both
Yeah,
sides, but
that
more on
hip
the
is
right side.
Yeah, that hip might be a little stuck.
It is. I mean, that's what I'm going to physical therapy for. So yeah, it is.
Yeah, and you're gonna find those stuck spots whenever we try to do balance exercises where we get the right and the left side of the body trying to do the same thing at the same time. You're gonna find those areas that need work and need to be unlocked, which is what we focus on here. And we help you put a dialogue and a level of understanding, and we start helping you to communicate with your body so that you can unlock those parts and pieces. Okay, so the next one, again, standing at the wall, feet nice and straight, that's 6 inches apart. Make sure the feet aren't pointing out or in, that they're pointing straight ahead. And then we're gonna do a very gentle, easy scapular contraction. So imagine you have a little rubber ball between your shoulder blades, and you're gonna squeeze that rubber ball and release it. Squeeze it, pinch it, and let it go. So you're not going to bring your shoulders up towards your ears. You're gonna bring them down away from your ears and together, okay? So down your spine and together. Your neck should get longer and your shoulders should go down your back. Okay, let's do about 20 of those.
Denise said her right calf tightened as she did the gluteal squeeze.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, your body, you'll see like how everything's connected, and you might have other parts of your body that try to help out. Like if something's not working properly, then you'll use other muscles.
Yeah. You'll recruit other muscles to climb the mountain. I always say that, like if you were told that you had to climb the mountain, you're going to do it. You can do it. You're going to recruit every muscle that you can in order to climb that mountain, which is what you're doing every day to do your day-to-day tasks. Doesn't mean that they're the correct ones or that they should be doing that job to help you climb the mountain, but they do and they will, because your brain is telling the muscles what to do. Posture is very subconscious. But here today, with looking at posture, thinking about your posture, and then doing these exercises, we bring the posture out of the subconscious realm into the conscious realm, and then we get to start training a new pathway from the brain to the muscle and the muscle to the brain. And that's the barrier that we break in Egoscue, and that's what helps train the posture into a better place over time through the repetitive exercises. So now I want you to stand up and check the balance in your feet. Did it change? Is it any different? I always say, is it same, better, different, or worse, right? It really covers all the bases. And feel free to answer in the chat or unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Gagan here. My left calf was tighter than the right one, and I felt like I was falling forward.
Oh yeah, off the wall.
So, yeah, off the wall, like falling forward. So I had to cautiously recruit other muscles to climb this mountain. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And so the wall, it's a tough one to start with as far as the template or a model. The floor might be a better place for you to start doing scapular contractions and gluteal contractions, laying on the floor, helping to build that alignment between your shoulders, your spine, and your pelvis. But the wall gives you a really good idea of where you are and where you're not, right? and what's in balance and what's out of balance. Yeah. I see in the chat, we've got John Wright, more balanced, David, more balanced, Denise, more balanced, Mandy, more balanced. Yeah, your feet aren't rolling out as much. Yeah. And so when you use those gluteal muscles, those are external rotators of the upper thigh bone. And so that helps get that pronation, that rolling inward of the ankle joint more neutral over time. So using your glutes and strengthening your glutes is something that if we haven't already focused on your program, Mandy, we will. Remind me at your next appointment.
Kelly,
Kelly.
quick question.
Yeah.
Could you show one more time how the scapula exercise is supposed to be done?
Yeah,
one?
I know. Unfortunately, I'm in a black shirt, so it's hard to see the definition, but I'm going to use my hands, okay? So when you squeeze those scapula, you want to squeeze them down and together, down your spine and together, okay?
It's like think about putting your shoulders in your back pocket.
Your back pockets, yeah. That is a good way to think about it.
Yeah, I've got black too, but I don't know if you.
Yeah, I know. And with the lining in here, I don't think it's going to show much definition for my scapula. Yeah,
So
but that's a really good. Yep.
It's not very
Yeah.
much, but yeah, you're just pulling them back and.
Yeah, back and down. Just make sure that you're not up. I always say no shoulders for earrings. You don't want shoulders for earrings. If you're up here, you're going in the opposite direction of the way we want to train it to go, right? And most people, I mean, we sit like that all the time. We're constantly like with our trapezius muscles in our earlobes. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly,
Oh, go ahead.
one question. When you were doing the glute exercise, what were you doing with your arms? I missed that as I stood against the wall.
You're just letting your arms relax in both of the exercises. So in the gluteal contractions, they're just resting along your side.
Okay.
And in the scapular contractions, they're also resting along your side. A lot of times when people do the scapular contractions, they will involve the biceps and bend the elbows. And you don't want to do that. You want to have what's called noodle arms. Just let them hang and relax like they're a wet noodle and let your scapula do the work. Because that's really where you're stuck is in the scapula area, in the shoulder girdle area. And it's not really appropriate for people with shoulder impingements and major shoulder injuries to be doing a lot of range of motion in big, positions to start because that can cause more injury, more wear and tear. So, we start off with minimal shoulder work and then work our way up as the posture gets straighter and stronger. Then we can start moving into, strengthening that shoulder girdle and getting more range of motion in that shoulder girdle over time. But the first part of, retraining a posture that has shoulder pain is really to get that foundational alignment. The shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles in better alignment with each other from top to bottom so that we can start to address those deeper shoulder issues.
One thing I stopped doing when I started with Martin was I stopped doing push-ups.
Oh.
And the shoulder seems to hurt a little bit more with lack of push-ups. And my regimen was every morning to jump up and at one time was to do as many push-ups as my age. And at 60, I went backwards. But anyway, I'm wondering if that is detrimental with regards to the whole program.
That's hard to say. I mean, everybody's situation is different. And whether you've had a surgery or not had a surgery or what your current condition is, it's hard to really say like if something in the past really caused the issue or where's the impetus. I mean, really you want to think about, well, where are you at now? What are you capable of now? And then how can you move forward, and looking at all the pieces holistically. And definitely we want to get you back to doing push-ups again, without worry, without, fear of injury, accident. And when it's interesting, when people start working with us, there comes a point where your body just knows it's ready and wants to start doing those things again. And everybody's timeline is different, but it always happens for everyone. And then they do it and it's great and it works. And the body just knows. It has a really amazing innate sense of its own healing. It's pretty miraculous. All right. Any other questions or anything anyone wants to share here?
So hopefully, so the whole point of that exercise was to show you checking the feet, like you feel more balanced now, and the question is, okay, why? Like what you were feeling out of balance before because something in your posture, we don't know exactly what, because usually we take photos and we can see, but you know, you felt out of balance in your feet before, you did a few scap contractions, a few glute contractions, and now now you feel more balanced in your feet, which means we can assume your posture is better, right? Your body's in a better balanced position, which should affect your shoulders. So these are just generic exercises, right? Where you have a whole group of people here, everybody's different. So we're all going to experience a different outcome, but obviously working, if you were a client, we would have specific exercises for your posture, but this should hopefully just kind of open up your eyes to the fact that, you know, you need to stop focusing on the symptom and start treating the position, right? Treating your cause. So did Lainey, I see you typing some stuff. Did Kelly answer that question for you, or do you have another question?
Yeah.
I have another question. When I do my weight workout, I can tell that this shoulder is not in the same, doesn't feel like it's in the right plane.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be helpful? And I've been working on this a long time and it gets better, but it's not there yet. Would it be good to do that wall scapular before and then again after my weight workout?
Yeah.
Is a part of the recipe?
Yeah, that's a great insight and a great question, because you really want to take the body to the activity or to the event, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's sitting at your chair all day, whether it's walking. You want to take the body with a better alignment going to the event or to the sport or to the activity. So if you can do some posture exercises prior to that, then do it, whatever it is, sport, whatever you're going to do, and then do a few more corrective ones afterwards, your body's just going to be better off all around. Yeah. Especially if you're doing one-sided sports where you're using one side of the body a lot, you're going to need to rebalance the body after that one-sided sport, you know, to help keep it functional and balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great question. Okay. So let's go back one more slide here. We'll wrap up. Talk about the next steps. What can you do now? So hopefully you've learned some stuff today, and we didn't just waste an hour of your time, but I think thanks everybody for participating. But
great participation today. Thank you, everybody. It was awesome. That might be like the most participation we've had. Yeah, thank you.
So if you're still skeptical, totally fine. You know, if you got questions, maybe you're still kind of new to this whole idea of posture and pain and treating the whole body versus the symptom. You know, it's kind of a new paradigm for a lot of people. So I'd suggest getting the book Pain Free. So that's written by our founder, Pete Egoscue. That's where the name comes from, by the way. But you can get that on Amazon for $15, I think, or at your bookstore and library probably. But super, you know, easy and yeah, there Kelly has an example. A good read. First few chapters explain the method, how it came about, how it works. And then there's a chapter dedicated to each body part. So you can go to a chapter specific to shoulders or to backs or to hips or whatever, and learn more about why you might have that pain, and I'll try some example exercises that could help. So obviously it's a book, so it's not going to be personalized to you quite as much, but it's a great place to start if you're, you know, just looking for more information. Now, some of you might feel like, okay, this all sounds great. Like you felt some change in your body today. You like the idea. You're not quite sure how it applies to you, though. You may have some other issues. Some people talked about other symptoms they have, sciatica, hip pain, that kind of stuff. So it might be more complicated than just a shoulder problem. So we encourage you to schedule a free posture evaluation. So anybody can do this, doesn't cost you any money. We usually take 20 or 30 minutes to just meet with you one-on-one, look at your posture, we'll take pictures, and you can actually see, just like those examples we shared, you can see where exactly your body is and what might be causing your issues. And then we can talk about what we might do to address that.
And that can be done in person and or online via Zoom, Skype, or FaceTime. So know that we do both in person and virtual appointments.
Yep, just like this, we use Zoom a lot. A lot of clients do that. So it works really well since we don't have to touch you, right? We're just doing exercises and stretches. So we only need to see and hear you. So, and then the third option, of course, is if you're ready to begin, you feel like Egoscue is the right thing for you, you want to pursue it, you want to get those same improvements that you saw in those before and after photos, and start feeling better. Best course of action is to, work one-on-one with a therapist, either Kelly or myself, and go through the program. And as a thank you for attending this class, you get 10% off, by the way. So these are package prices. It's the same no matter which clinic you go to in the United States. And we'll give this discount for the next week. So if you want to sign up in the next week, you can take advantage of that. Just a quick rundown of how it works. So these 8 or 16 sessions, first session is usually about an hour and a half. We'll sit down and chat more about your health history, your situation, your problems, your goals, and then we'll go through an assessment. The posture evaluation is the number one thing. We'll look at your posture, but we'll also look at how you walk, how you stand, move, you balance, and just figure out where your limitations are, where your compensations are. And that'll help us know exactly what exercises to use to start to change your body for the better. So we'll teach you what to do. You'll get instructions for everything, videos, pictures in an app, or just over email or printed, lots of ways to do it. So you do your exercises every day, and then typically we meet on a weekly basis, initially at least, to make sure you're doing things correctly, because the form really does make a big difference. And then reassess, see what's getting better, what's not. As your posture changes, the exercises are going to change too. What's hard to do now is not going to be hard anymore in a couple of weeks, right? So we've got to change the exercises typically to keep you progressing. Those are typically hour-long sessions, one-on-one. So questions about any of that?
Let me check the chat here. I've been listening to you.
Hemant, you have a question?
Yes. So how will we know whether we need 8 session or 16 session?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we make that recommendation after we've had the initial session and we have a really clear idea of what's going on with your personal situation. We've been in the game for quite a while. We've been looking at posture. And depending on how quickly your body is responding to the exercises, your learning style, we take it all into account, and we'll make a really clear recommendation at the end of the first session, on how many we think you need realistically long-term going forward.
And then after the sessions are over, is there like an ongoing some kind of a exercise program?
So we have what's called maintenance therapy, which some people choose to do long-term. Some people come in and do 8 to 16 sessions and they're off and running for the rest of their life. And I maybe hear from them never or once every great while. They're just, when I do hear from them, they're saying, I'm doing my exercises, I'm doing great, thank you for Egoscue. That's the bulk of my clientele. But some people come in on a monthly basis for accountability purposes, just to keep themselves accountable to their exercises. Other people come in every 3 months, every 6 months, every year. Anytime you feel like your body needs a new set of exercises, or there's a change in your routine or your schedule, it's always good to get kind of a new fresh look at your posture and a new set of exercises to go along with whatever change has happened in your life, whether it's a new accident, an injury, a lifestyle change, anything like that. So yeah.
And how would it conflict with my current physical therapy exercises?
It will
Or
actually
not, you know?
it'll go hand in hand. Yep. The good thing about Egoscue is that you're in control. You have the exercises, you do them at home. You're the one empowered with the tools and you're calling the shots. So, you know, you have the exercises, you do them at home, and they go nicely with massage, PT, chiropractic work, acupuncture, you name it. It's just gonna be another tool for your toolkit. This one's going to focus on the muscular system specifically and rebalancing the muscular system. Yeah.
By the way, I put our clinic's email addresses in the chat. So, but most of you RSVP'd, so you should already have our emails. You can just reply to that same email you replied for the RSVP. That'll go to us, or contact me, Seattle at Egoscue or Portland at Egoscue.
Or Kelly, if you want to email me directly as well. Feel free to send any questions to me, any comments, any feedback. I'm open. So yeah, if you're doing exercises out of the book and you have questions, feel free to reach out. You know, you don't have to be having paid sessions with us just to ask us questions. You know, that's why we have these free monthly workshops, and you can come next month and ask your questions, you know, to the next month's topic. So, you know, the more the merrier.
I was about to ask a question related to that. So Kelly, you answered it already. Thank you.
Oh, great. I'll expect an email then.
Well, I'm actually a client, one of a customer for Zach. So
oh, great. Okay.
I'm in Seattle.
Great. Awesome. Zach's taking good care of you then. I know he is.
So yeah, so Kelly, the sessions would be on the weekends if needed, or when are you holding it?
So typically Martin and I both work Monday through Friday. Zach in Seattle does work some Saturdays. So if you're needing weekend appointments, Zach's your guy.
And if it is during the week, what are your hours?
Typically 9 to 5, and we do 5 o'clock, 8 a.m. and 5 o'clock appointments upon request. Yeah.
So you do like a 5 p.m. on Friday?
We could, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know Zach, right? So, you know, I like to have seen a session from the posture specialist before I sign on with them, right? So that's the reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because Zach is the clinic owner and director up in Seattle. And so he's a certified Egoscue therapist, and then so am I. So we both are. Yeah. So you could.
Okay. So Zach was on this call. Okay. You know the call.
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That might have been confusing in the beginning. Yeah, for sure.
Yes,
But
okay.
what I always do tell people is that you want to pick a day and a time that's consistently going to be, you can be accountable to, so that you're not flopping all over the place, because it's really good to get in that habit and routine of the consistency each week of training the body and, you know, meeting with your therapist. So try to pick a day and time that works that way for you if you can.
Gotcha. Okay. So if I decided to go with Zach and I send out an email to Seattle,
yeah, he'll get it.
It'll be Zach who will be treating me, or it'll be somebody else?
Yep, it'll be Zach.
It'll be me.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And if you send it to me, it'll be me.
It'll be you. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I tried it with some other clinic and they put me up to some other person. I'm like, no, I wanted to, you know, so.
Yeah, well,
okay,
all the Egoscue clinics around the United States, there's about 30 of us. We are all trained Egoscue therapists. We are delivering pure Egoscue therapy. We do not mix and match with anything else, no other types of therapies. We are, Pete Egoscue is our boss.
Yep. I know, I get it.
Yeah.
I was working with somebody in California, but it was a few years ago, and now she's no longer practicing it. So that's the reason I'm back in the market looking for someone. So
sorry to hear that. That's always sad.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Hemant, my name is Gagan. I can just speak for a minute, if that's okay, everyone.
Oh yeah.
I came across the book first, and I read part of it, and I'm in Seattle. So I reached out to Zach, and I attended I've been taking, I think I've done 5 or 6 sessions already. So he is the only one there at the center who looks, and I interact with him directly. So when you probably or anybody else will work with I think the office location owner, you work with the owner directly all the time. Just if I can help you, that's all I can want to say. And so I've been having interaction with him back and forth, like through email. I usually go in person, but I think there's an option for a virtual a Zoom session as well. So, and I interact with him through email and phone call, like where as per I have questions, I shoot them his way, and he responds on the email. So there is a lot of interaction going on that happens. So they're good with follow up, and I work with him directly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we're all about building the relationship between your body and us and the method and your exercises. So, we're not like your typical medical model where, you go and you get 15 minutes and then you're out, and you have to call and you get to the front desk, and that front desk, you never actually get to your doctor, or you maybe send an email to your doctor, you don't get anything directly. That's not us. That's not who we are. You email us directly, you get questions directed specifically to us. You can call us, email us, anytime with any questions. We want you confident and comfortable doing your exercises at home after we've taught them to you here. And this is a whole new paradigm for people. They're learning a skill, a life skill. Egoscue is really a long-term solution. It is not a quick fix. You're going to feel the changes and the differences right away, even just from 2 exercises that we did today. But, it is a long-term solution. So we kind of build a family here at Egoscue, and you're kind of part of the Egoscue family from your first session on. So we want to be there to support you on your journey.
Cool. Well, great questions. Anybody have anything else they'd like to ask before we sign off here? Right. Well, thanks again for your participation, and look for an email probably tomorrow with the recording. And, if you have any other questions, you can direct them to us personally, but if not,
this was helpful. Thank you for doing it. I wish I can join in future and be able to do this. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much again.
All right.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Haman. And let us know if you need anything, okay?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
We are here for you.
Action, the vigilante piece, 74.
Thank you very much.
Proposed that 90% of everyone.
Thank you, Lainey. Thank you, John. Bye, Jim. We'll see you next week. Bye, Mike. Did you have any last questions there or anything? No, you're good? Okay. We'll hopefully hear from you soon. I saw that you were going to give us a call, right? Okay, great.